Hello YouTube, this is Mechagodzilla 237 bringing you the next top 10 monsters to be in a Godzilla game. Number 10 is Super Mechagodzilla. Super Mechagodzilla, I've just always wanted to see him be actually in a game, not just Mechagodzilla 2. It would greatly improve his weapon stat and maybe even just as like a rage or something like they did in the first two games. I just think it'd be a nice addition, at least maybe as a playable skin, to have Super Mechagodzilla be in the next game. Number 9 on the list would have to be Monster X from Godzilla Final Wars. Monster X was the pre-form of King Ghidorah in the Godzilla Final Wars, and I mean, he has a pretty entertaining fight with Godzilla in that movie. He clearly has special attacks that he could do, and he has a projectile weapon, so I mean, he's all set up to be a character. I mean, just program him. I just think he'd be a nice addition, because they just need more monsters that are basic and not like stupid Bagan or Mothra that take forever to get used to. Ah! Number 8 on the list is going to have to be Bagan. Oh, I believe it's Bagan. Bagan, whatever you want to say, we'll just go with Bagan. Bagan is a monster that has commonly been just pushed aside in the Godzilla franchise. I mean, true, he appeared as the final boss in Super Godzilla, but that game is shit. He originally was going to be in the 1985 Return of Godzilla, but they scrapped that at last minute. He was also supposed to have Godzilla vs. Bagan in the later 90s series, which obviously never happened. They even made a movie that they had planned that was supposed to be Mothra vs. Bagan. That may have been interesting, but Bagan, I mean, yeah, another character, same as Monster X. He's all set up to be programmed, and he clearly has attacks, and he's unique. So why not just put him in the game? That's the whole point of a Godzilla game, isn't it? Just play as more monsters? Number 7 is actually two monsters, Bigfoot Gyra and Bigfoot Sanda, from War of the Gargantuas. Both these monsters, well, they have their own movie, obviously, and they're just full of just beating the shit out of each other, and honestly, that's what a Godzilla game is about, so why not just put these two in the game? I mean, they've got the power, the strength, they practically rip each other apart in the movies, so why can't they be ripping other monsters apart in the game? Come on, tell me you wouldn't want to see Bigfoot Gyra just, like, tear Mothra in half. That shit would be awesome! Yeah! Bigfoot Gyra, yeah! Coming in at number 6 on the list is Gorosaurus. Hold on, before everyone rages, Gorosaurus is up this high above Bigfoot Gyra and Bigfoot Sanda, and even Monster X, simply because I've always wanted Gorosaurus to be in a Godzilla game. He's only been in 3 movies. One of them was King Kong Escapes, which is still Toho, but not Godzilla. I mean, he's got some good moves, especially that jump kick, and he bites. I see where they can find attacks to put for him, but the projectile, obviously that's a problem. He doesn't really do anything. But if you can make it up for Titanosaurus, you can make it up for Gorosaurus. Come on. And Gorosaurus, I don't see why not. You put a stupid monster like Bagan in there who was in one Godzilla movie and got his ass kicked, but not Gorosaurus, and Gorosaurus never even dies. Okay, maybe he got beaten up in King Kong Escapes, but that doesn't count. That doesn't count. So, yeah, Gorosaurus! Number 5 on the list is Gabara, because Gabara is shit. The only reason that anyone would ever want to play as Gabara is just to lose. I mean, come on, Gabara, he's a pedophile. He wastes his time beating the shit out of poor Minya, and there's a whole movie about it. We all know Godzilla's Revenge or All Monsters Attack, depending on American versus Japanese, whatnot. But, I mean, of course, he was originally scheduled to be in Godzilla Unleashed, Wii version only, but there was only a 5% chance of that happening because Gabara just sucks. And I can see why fans wouldn't want to, like, play as him, but I would put him in the game, maybe not as a playable character, but at least as like a bot that you could just beat the shit out of, because that's really all Gabara's useful for. Gabara! Number 4 on the list is Mechani-Kong or Mechani-Kong, whichever you prefer. I prefer to say Mechani-Kong because it's just a lot easier and it sounds better. Mechani-Kong only appeared in one movie, which wasn't even Godzilla, King Kong Escapes. The reason I would want to see him in this game, or in the next Godzilla game, he has an assortment of weapons. He has like grenade bombs he can pull off from the band on his waist. He has that blinding laser thing on his head. And he can obviously do physical attacks. He's built off of King Kong. And there's 3 Mechagodzillas now and Mecha King Ghidorah. So how about Mecha-Kong? Anyone? No? Fuck you, Mecha-Kong. Number 3, obviously following Mecha-Kong, would be King Kong himself. King Kong would be a great addition to a Godzilla game because obviously there's the movie King Kong vs. Godzilla, and he's just all-out physical attacks. I mean, he could probably rival even Orga when it comes to attack power. And look at it, he's King Kong. He's probably one of the most famous monsters of all time, obviously aside from Godzilla. I see no reason why that Battle of the Giants, King Kong vs. Godzilla, should not be recreated in a video game. I mean, who wouldn't replay Godzilla vs. King Kong over and over and over again? I mean, or see King Kong beat the shit out of Gabara. That would be hilarious. Make King Kong happen for sure. He needs to be in a Godzilla game. Before I say the number 1 and number 2 pick, I would just like to put out there that these are more personal opinions from me, and these are more monsters that I've cared for throughout my childhood, and I would just really have liked to have played as in the Godzilla games, but I've always been frustrated that they've never been in there. So without further ado, number 2 and number 1. Coming in at number 2, Ebirah, the giant lobster. Ebirah has just always been one of my favorite monsters, probably because he's a giant lobster, and lobsters are pretty cool. He's only appeared, though, in, I think, 2, maybe 3 movies. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, Godzilla's Revenge, and Godzilla Final Wars. So yeah, that makes 3. I've always wanted to play as Ebirah because he's got those giant claws, and I feel like he would just make a great opponent. He'd kind of be more like an Anguirus because he's shorter, obviously. Oh, hopefully not like Bagan. Oh! But I do think he would make a nice addition because he'd obviously be very high in attack. But the reason why he's only number 2 and not number 1 is because he doesn't have any projectile type weapon that he could use, like a beam, like Godzilla has atomic breath. And I just am kind of bothered by that, so that's why I think he should be in the game, more because it's a personal thing for me, but I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. Darn it. I am aware that, however, that Ebirah did make a slight appearance in Godzilla Save the Earth, in that one, whatever it is, the one challenge where you play as Godzilla under the sea, and that was pretty stupid. He's also in concept art. But, well, that's stupid. No one cares about that. Anyways, number 2, Ebirah. Number 1, of course, is Hedorah. Why is Hedorah not in a Godzilla game yet? Come on! Out of any monster they possibly could have picked to put in a Godzilla game, why have they not done Hedorah yet? It's so simple. It's a pile of shit. I wouldn't even care if they completely colored him all brown. I'd still be happy if he at least was a playable character. I mean, come on. He was in Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, what, floating around doing absolutely nothing? He doesn't even do anything. He's just there. Why not? They were about to put him in Godzilla Unleashed, but canceled at the last moment because they couldn't color him. Why? I don't really care. I probably would have complained about his color had he been in the game, but I would have at least been happy that he would have been in the game. I am aware that for one Godzilla game, I can't exactly remember the name, it's for the PC Engine, released in Japan only. Hedorah is a playable character, but only in 2-player multiplayer. That's probably the images you see right here of him using that laser eye and the sludge bomb. Those are images from that game. That is his only video game appearance that I am aware of. He appeared in only 2 movies, true, Godzilla vs. Hedorah and Godzilla Final Wars, but I don't see why Hedorah should not be in the game. Hedorah is #1 over Ebirah because, I mean, he's perfectly set up. He can do physical attacks as he's shown in the movies. He clearly has that eye laser thing he could do for a primary, like, laser thing. He can shoot sludge out for a secondary weapon. He can throw his own arms like great distances because he's made out of sludge, and his weakness could be electricity, and why are they not doing this? Because they couldn't color him? Does the color really even matter? I mean, they didn't color Varen, right? Well, Varen was black and white, so that doesn't really count. But, I mean, why? Why take out this character just because of color? I could rant on about this for 20 more minutes. I am outraged that Hedorah has never been in a Godzilla game. Well, a modern Godzilla game. He needs to be in a Godzilla game. I would love to play as Hedorah so much. He would just annihilate everyone. He could have a high weapon stat, a high attack stat, and a high defense stat, and probably just as bad as speed. As maybe the only one he'd be better than is Biollance or Biollance, whatever you say. But God, why not Hedorah? He is perfect. Just take the final form and put him in. Or you can do like what they did in that game all that long ago on the PC Engine and make him change into the flying form in the middle of a battle. But, oh my God. Just put Hedorah in the next game, please. Please. There needs to be Hedorah. I don't care if I don't get my fucking Gabara punching bag. Just, please, someone see this and put in Hedorah. Oh my God, please, just Hedorah. For the love of everything Godzilla related. Hedorah, please. Ah.